I love it. My dad, I was born in Detroit, and then that was his freshman year. And then they moved onto the campus in the family housing at Michigan. So it's like, I'm really a Go Blue baby. And it was funny, man. This is a sad part, right? My dad wanted me to be born at University of Michigan. Everything prenatal, everything leading up to this was at U of M Hospital. But my mom, she was a busybody, man. She would work everywhere. She worked at HAP. She was doing a lot of things. They were like a sponsor of the Red Wings at the time, so she was going to games and such. And she was like, "I gotta work. And she wound up effectively having contractions. Going into labor, and they were like, "Yo, get to the hospital." My dad was like, "Get over here fast." She wound up making it to shout out to St. Mary's in Livonia. That's as far as she got. And then after that, she went to Michigan to get my checks. I'm like, man. So since then, all my kids that I had here, bro, and now I live out like 45 minutes away. I jet down to University of Michigan. The last child, we almost didn't make it, man.
45 minutes, that's some dedication. I'd just be like, hey, you born where you at. We can't even mess around. We can't have you be out here in Plymouth or Canton trying to get you born. You just got to be where you at.
You born where you at. Man, let me get this started.
Yeah, let's go.
What up, though, people? It is your boy Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, and you rocking out with the Woodward Pistons podcast on the Woodward Sports Network. And you guys already know Jeff Freddy's on that Morning Woodward show, holding it down. So definitely continue to support them and their whole entire crew. Shout out to Sam as well, his co-hosts, Lucas, Broder, JB, Gabby, and the whole crew. They're doing big things. Continue to support them, guys. But you guys know why we're here right now. Got to get this drum roll going for the legend right quick. Hey, yo! Shout out and welcome to the legend, Detroit News, Rod Beard. Brother, how you doing this morning?
I am luxuriating in Birmingham, Alabama at the National Association of Black Journalists Convention.
Let's go.
Where it will be a cool and crisp 95 degrees today. So,
ooh, okay.
Shouts out to the weatherman.
I see that crispy shirt, man. Go blue, go blue, go blue.
Man, you say that all the time, and I'm so serious. I just reach into in this one, I'm just reaching in the suitcase. Hey, what's clean? Boom, let's go.
Let's rock, man. I like it. But listen, I want to do something new, especially as we're making these format changes this month. I want to do something new where we start the show with just some mystery Rod Beard topic, just something from the mind of Rod. Bro, go.
Buddy Boeheim. Buddy Boeheim. Somebody used a whole alert on Buddy Boeheim.
I already like this.
I'm like, because every time you see an alert come through and you're like, okay, just let me see if it says Detroit Pistons anywhere in here. Buddy Boeheim. I mean, hey, I'm all for it. But Buddy Boeheim on August 1st, is that what we're doing? Everybody's supposed to be. NBA people are all in their hibernation cocoons. Just the only people that care about the NBA right now are Damian Lillard people and James Harden people, kind of. But everybody else is on snooze right now. And they hit you with a Buddy Boeheim. Man.
And it's crazy too. You see that alert go off. Yo, Pistons media. Let me get to it. And this is like, okay. I don't even understand how to articulate it, but there we go.
I know how to articulate it. It's like when you're in college and you never get any mail at all. You open up your thing and it's nothing for 4 or 5 days. And then that one day you get one little letter.
That's
and
perfect.
It's like a spam thing. And you're like, all right, well, I got some mail. It's my tuition bill or my phone bill. I don't want this mail that I just got. Why am I looking at this right now? That's exactly how I felt. Like, alert, Pistons. Whoa, Buddy Boeheim. Come on, man.
He said,
Delete.
he said that do I do an article for this? Do I do the live stream? Do we go live? Sean Murphy, do we need to like
So real. I'm just like at Summer League, I'm sitting there like, hey, Buddy Boeheim is not messing around with y'all. He's trying to get some type of deal.
This is your fault, man. You did this.
So I'm just thinking it. I mean,
and his hard work and dedication as well.
There was also Xavier Simpson this week too. So it's just, hey, let's get these Exhibit 10s out of the way, and let's just so we know who's on the roster and who we're dealing with. But can we go back to our NBA slumber, please? Because we know it's about to kick back up in September, October.
Right. No, look, when you said Xavier Simpson, shout out Xavier Simpson, Captain Hook, man, go blue. I like him. I remember when we walked into the gym for media session, I saw him now. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But the amount of people, man, the amount of people that I saw say things like, who's this Xavier Simpson guy? Who's this guard we have? And the most common thing that I heard, oh, we got another guard. Bye-bye, Killian.
What is wrong with people?
Right, I was like, goodness. That was the time when I was sitting there and I heard your voice to me like, don't read the comments.
Don't
stay out of the comments.
Don't stay out of it all. Just leave it.
That one got me, man. That one got me. It really did. Those two, it's like I thought people understood what these kind of signings were going to be. I didn't know that people here didn't know Xavier Simpson.
You have to have a roster. And I mean, even if you looked at that and said, okay, Killian, 6'6", Xavier, 6 feet, maybe. And if you didn't do that for Marcus Sasser, why are you doing it for Xavier Simpson? Why do you? Okay, I mean, all right.
Like, we came away from Summer League with this impression that was like, you know what, Marcus Sasser is ready, but if they keep Killian Hayes, we still see, if they decide to keep him, we still see that there's a definite need on this roster or a position for him to fill still alongside of Marcus Sasser. It's like, I don't know where this one came from, man, but it definitely had me kind of sitting there like, man. And I sat there for longest just kind of scrolling through some of these comments, and I didn't know if people were trolling or not. I'm like, people, do they really not remember Xavier Simpson? Do they really not know like what the reality is? I don't know, man.
That's probably part of it. Yeah, Xavier Simpson is kind of okay. Who knows who's more recognizable, Xavier Simpson or Caleb Houston? We're gonna play that. Let's play that game. Who's okay? I mean, I don't. You don't have to keep up with it. He's not going to burn down the barn with his talent or anything like that. So we have spent more time on Xavier Simpson already than most people would have. So
shout out to Buddy. Shout out to Xavier. Listen, man, I think that this is your fault. You have the Go Blue shirt on. You were the one also who told us that Buddy Boeheim was going to he was definitely getting that contract in Summer League.
Those first couple of games, he was just like, hey, you give me so I'm about to break down Buddy Boeheim. This is crazy. Quicker release, much quicker release. He was playing hot potato with that rock. Just as soon as it rotates, this thing is going up. I don't care. Splash, splash, splash. But that is what you want from him. That's what you're looking for from a Joe Harris. That's what you need in this offense. That's a role, a defined role. Is kick it to that corner or kick it to that wing. Dribble drive penetration, weak side, boom, corner. Buddy Boeheim, you want to be that guy catching that ball, or Joe Harris. Or even Cade in some cases. That's the way the offense is built. And so you need that person who's going to hit that shot. Wayne Ellington, it's always been that spot in the rotation for that guy.
That was going to be my next question is, look, I know it's funny, we talk about it, but some of the questions were people genuinely wondering who these people, who's Xavier Simpson and what role, now that Buddy's getting the contract, what role is this guy playing? And I do think it's important. We did see some marked improvement with his shot, showing that the things that probably limited him last year, not that he doesn't have some limits to his game, but who he's going to be as a player, he
Hmm.
has to have a quick release, to
Hmm.
overcome some of the things that he's not going to be able to bring.
Right.
Maybe on the defensive side, it's like, all right, be a knockdown shooter, be somebody that we know, okay, we can send him in there. We know he's hitting 50% of his attempts that we send his way. If he could be that type of player, then everything you described is exactly why he's probably on this roster. And if there's some work he's put in, hey, a guy like that, Wayne Ellington, Rodney Magruder's, those guys that are kind of at the end of the bench, who you could depend on to.
Hmm.
You said something very interesting to me early on, and it helps shape my perspective on how these teams are built as well. It's like there are times and nights where they absolutely need minute eater guys, where
Hmm.
maybe they're getting pummeled on like their second night of a back to back in a week or something like that, and they just need a guy who can go out there and eat up minutes, who knows the system, who knows this and that, who has camaraderie with the guys, who's going to try hard. And it's like, what, that stuff does matter. They need guys sometimes who um if you get into certain types of foul trouble and you need a 3-point shooter or shooters at the end of the game, it's like, what, okay. And if you got people who come cheap, who are kind of familiar with your system, and that you can depend on their skill, it's nothing to cry about. So if people were wondering kind of what role that would serve, I believe what Xavier is somebody, his contract, he'll be what, more with the Motor City Cruise, correct?
Hmm. Right. And it's just kind of organizing these things to say, um, here's where people are going to be. And it's a formality, but you just have to do those things just to make sure you got everybody all set and you know what the things are that you're doing.
Yep. Now look, I want to get into a few things here with the Pistons, and it's really the biggest challenges facing the Pistons this coming season. And there's a couple things here that I kind of profiled and looked at as chief. But before we get into that, man, did you see Cade Cunningham? Did you see the video of him circulating?
I,
Is that how he looks with 2 feet, with 2 legs? Because
so
look, man, talk about it,
so
bro.
so the one of I didn't try to read the responses on it, but one of the first things that I saw was sort of um he was doing more in high school. He was two-handing that in high school.
Hmm.
Okay. So if that's in high school, that was before he was having the issues. And if he's closer to 100% now, this is just ramping his way up and working his way back. We're going to get to the two hands on that sort of thing. But that is, Cade's not explosive. Cade doesn't finish at the rack. That's a hezzy get to the middle. I don't
Mm.
even care who's in there. I'm finishing on this dude. So I think that's encouraging to see. And actually, I manifested this one too. I will actually take credit for this one
Talk about it, bro.
because Mike was on vacation, and I said, Mike, you're not coming off vacation unless Cade does something nasty in um the with the select team. Like if he comes down and just dunks on somebody, that might be the reason that you have to come out and write something. And sure enough, Cade just comes out and dunks on somebody. It wasn't a select team, so it's not quite right worthy, but it is. That's what you want to see from him. Is he's out here playing? He's not in bubble wrap and not trying to play because he's afraid that he's going to hurt it or aggravate it or do something else. That man is out there balling, which is what you're supposed to do when you're working your way back. So I think that's the
Yeah.
biggest takeaway from that.
Yeah, definitely. I love to just see him making the game look effortless too. When you look at his
Mhm.
face and he's doing these moves, it's kind of the same type of Cade that we've come to know, like kind of the smooth, cool, calm, collected individual. And he makes these things look effortless. I think it's the reason why some scouts and some people, or at least fans and observers and some of the people that we do, in other states that kind of follow these things and are trying to rank these players and oh, Jalen Green is explosive and fast and can jump high and blah blah blah. Cade Cunningham is kind of, well, he's kind of slow footed or this or that. And it's like, that's not the case. Not at all. He's cerebral. He's methodical. That's much different than somebody who's slow. He can just, in an instance, you saw that hezzy, man. In an instance, he shifted the defender just like that. And then how fast did he get to the rim with one dribble, one leg takeoff? That's pretty fast. I just think that sometimes he makes it look like it could be slow. I liken it to this, man. Look, we watch Blue Planet a lot and some of those, Discovery and all of that.
Yep. Yep.
I liken Cade Cunningham to a hippopotamus, man. I don't think people understand how quickly you want to sit there and you want to play, or like these people at the wildlife parks messing with those bison, thinking, oh, I can just get close enough and take a picture. And it's like, these animals are faster than they appear. Like, just straight up. And that's what Cade Cunningham reminds me of, just something different. I don't think people are quite ready for what he can be, 6'6", 6'7". I think people want him to be kind of a tall point guard. He's not really that. He's kind of this, it's in my opinion, just from some of the things we're seeing, and if he's healthy, some of the clips I kind of saw him have from high school where, you play a little bit more open. Man, he could be such a Swiss Army knife. You kind of alluded to it as well with Cade being able to potentially stand in the corner and shoot threes. We have ball handlers, we have playmakers, and if Cade is doing that, I'm getting more and more excited for what Monty Williams can do. And I saw somebody say this as well. Monty Williams is one of the biggest additions of the offseason, period. Free agent or coach. I'm excited for what he can do. I think that we have a very athletic team, or a sneaky athletic team, a team that can cut, a team that can play make. And I think that plays into someone's skill set like Cade. We went from, man, we have to have the ball in Cade's hands all the time, like 2 years ago, to we have a plethora of people that can handle the rock. But
so let me say this too.
Yeah.
When I first watched that clip, it was, oh, he's about to pull up for a midi, and they're showing us that he's back to what he was last
mid-range Cade.
So the little midi would have been, oh, okay, that's kind of, ooh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's the difference too, is that the confidence level to go to the rack, he can take that mid-range and hit that shot, but the ability to say, now I'm getting to the rack and I'm finishing at the rack is what I want to see more of. So now that hippopotamus isn't just kind of milling along, now he's actually doing something and getting in the water and being where he wants to be. And I think that's what, if you see that from Cade, that can change a lot of things, because defenses now are going to have to play him differently.
Yep. I'm glad you said that, because in my mind was that as well. I was looking for, all right, create that quick base, watch him nail the mid-range. I didn't understand or know how important that was to our conversation, but as you kind of put it, it's like, yeah, this is showing an evolution to the player that many Detroit Pistons fans probably knew. We saw him make some similar plays in his young Pistons career where he kind of does the hezzy, gets inside, or comes off the pick and roll and is able to dunk, or comes off of, I remember the sideline play where he dunked and pointed to the crowd. Shout out to your tweet too. I saw that. That was hilarious. About him pointing out to his fan. Shout out Ashton, the trainer. But this one seemed to look like he was actually up there. Like he had a little bit more he actually could have given. The other ones look like, okay, he can do some things. But this one, it just looked solid. Like I remember the dunk he had, I believe it was against Atlanta, where he just came through and just dunked it on somebody and fell to the ground. And it seemed like if he could get just a little bit more oomph on that jump, that he probably would have dunked it and landed on his feet. But it looked like he was just able to kind of get up there and get it done, which is still a feat because you're dunking on somebody. But this one yesterday, and I get it, it's not in NBA play. It's with a little bit less resistance. It still looked good from an athletic standpoint. His legs look healthy, and that's all we can really ask for, because a lot rides on who Cade Cunningham is supposed to be as a player. A lot of the Detroit Pistons' fortunes, they ride on the fact that he's supposed to be this connector that can also bring out the best in other players, as well as the thing I'm going to continue to say, I think one of his best traits is he's able to mitigate what everybody else has to do. And I think that's how he actually is able to bring out their best traits. You're able to put the ball
Mhm.
in Cade's hands and you don't have to sweat, man. I think those guys, when you see the way Cade moves, and I was looking at some of these highlights and some of his games from the past where he was absolutely daggering people in the end, the team was confident with him.
Mhm.
Like as Cade moves, the team moved. You didn't see them nervous, scared, or what to do. But this year, without him, sometimes, man, we see this team, they didn't even know how to inbound the ball sometimes. And
Right.
it's just, I don't know, it's just different. It's
Right. And it's
different.
that
So,
that calming influence of um we can do what we need to do. We can get into our sets, and that's important too. But then it's also we have the guy who can do this particular thing. We don't. I can do my thing. So, and especially in Jaden Ivey's case, I can just do my thing, and I don't have to bring the ball up court. He had to do it a lot more last year, but I think just fitting into his role will suit him really, really well with Cade back.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Ivy, you know what? Here we go. We'll talk about him really quickly as well. So I got the beanie here. I don't know if you saw the latest when when Ivy had the beanie on and he was out there doing the hoops and then he had the little picture with the dreads in his hands and everything. Well, look, man, the latest from Ivy, man, it's looking like comeback season is about to be here, man. I had to get it on. Comeback season is about to be here. Shout out to the homie Key for putting it up on Twitter. But look
Yep.
at Jaden Ivey, man. He looks like he's all serious. It's just about basketball for him, man. I wish I had the beanie one. But did you see that one as well when he was working on the
No,
handles?
I didn't see that one. I
Yeah,
missed that one.
yo, he was working on it, and he left the imperfections in there too. You could tell he's really, really, really trying to get better at handling the rock, because I think that is where a lot of his turnovers happen.
Yep.
Not because
Yep.
he's not as strong, but because when you get stronger in your handles, you get more confident in what you're able to do. You start thinking less and you start reacting more, and that's where you make less mistakes. And that's where the ball looks like you have it on a rope. When you see certain players that just kind of have it, and you're like, "Yo, you can't steal it." Jason Williams looked like a guy who he just was confident in what he could do with the basketball, and that made a world of a difference. And when you listen to his regiment as it relates to what he did to actually dribble, that's when you get it. And so when I see Jaden Ivey doing this, I love seeing him working on his handles more than I like seeing him work on like shooting. Like if I saw a clip of him working on just shooting, or like the clip of I saw of Cade, the Cade clip matters more to me that it's Cade because of what he's going through. If it's Ivy, it's like, well, that's a Tuesday morning for Ivy, a
Mhm.
Wednesday morning for Ivy. It's like that's what it is for him. But when I see him working on those handles and you see some of the imperfections, you see him getting mad, you see him going back at it. That's what I love to see out of Beanie Ivy. I love it, man. I love it. I love it. I love it. I listen, as we're talking about some of the biggest challenges facing the Pistons as we're getting into this with Cade and Ivy, with this backcourt in particular, I wanted to ask you, what do you believe is the biggest hurdle they have to jump or the biggest challenge facing them as a backcourt duo?
I think it's just going to be inexperience and chemistry, and when they get to that, we'll know. We'll see it immediately when it's just like, okay, all right, they figured it out. I think it's also going to be 3-point shooting. Is can they can they figure it out, like where what the good shots are and what they're not, and the shot selection in some of those things. Can they be creators, not just for each other, but for everybody else? And just what's that mix of how often Ivy's handling versus Cade handling? Those are all chemistry sort of issues. And I think they can be figured out fairly quickly, but on the court and theoretically are two different things. And when it happens, we'll know it pretty quickly by the just the eye test. We'll be able to see it.
Yep. I think it's going to be something we're going to be able to see until right away in preseason too.
Mhm.
And I know people say, well, it's just preseason. These are things with these players, like how Ivy attacked Summer League. He's just one of those guys. What he puts out on tape, that is what he's going to be. It's how he works, it's how he goes. I'm starting to realize that a lot of these guys, and it's the reason why you probably have to start to measure and cut these guys off of things like Summer League, is because they're gonna go 100% all the time. Like I don't see them really loafing, even when they're kind of
Mhm.
in the gym shooting around and things like that. It looks like this team is trying to work to be a lot better than they were last season, Rod. And that should comfort Pistons fans. I don't know what exactly it's going to mean to the overall win-loss, but at least to how they're working. And if you're a believer in hard work being rewarded, I think that they're going to have some successes next year, man.
Yeah, and just in talking to guys, they see the 17 wins as a stain and just being I'm not gonna say the laughing stock, but just being a team that isn't respected around the league. They know that all of these guys are winners and elite level winners. We've seen what Cade's done. We know what Ivy's done. These guys have been in good situations where they've won a lot. So this losing doesn't sit well with them. And that's what you want to see too, is that they're motivated and they're driven, not just to be good and to be NBA players, but to rep the city, to rep the fans, and to say we're going to turn this thing around. They are sincerely motivated by that sort of thought process.
Man, that's the key thing, and that's what I like that we add to this platform, is including the kind of ground level view of the players, what they're feeling, what they're going through. Seeing Cade, sometimes, you see him on the sidelines in the videos. If you go to the games, you see him there. But kind of being in the tunnel, seeing him congratulate his guys, seeing them pop their head in to like brag up one of their guys. Like Stu will be at the podium and Cade will come and be like, "Yo, man, Stu's a dog out there tonight," and then just leave. It's like, you don't have to really see that. You don't really have to do those things.
Right.
To see him kind of, to hear the conversations of him talking about, I'm really intent on Cade, man. I love this quote. Oh my goodness, I forgot who he gave it to. But when he said that he enjoyed this past season because he was able to sit back and see where his teammates need the ball. That to me is different. And I'm sitting out to see the plays. I'm out to learn this or learn that. No, I'm out to see where my teammates, how they play. I'm out to see where they like the ball, where their shooting pocket is, and those things. That to me shows that Cade, like we've all been saying, is well ahead of this thing as it relates to a playmaker and being a connector. And it just, I don't know, man. To me, it continues to have me very, very bullish on the season. I told people I'm with the Lions, and I got to throw the Pistons in there to some degree. I'm trying not to, to run the tub full of Kool-Aid and jump in, man. But I'm a little bit more bullish on these things because of kind of comments like that and things that he's continued to show as a leader. And if we get him on the court for 82 games, I believe that bodes very well for the Detroit Pistons. And we talked about this backcourt, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, and I'm seeing everybody kind of come out with their depth charts and whatnot. And I think that this is, again, one of these kind of challenges or hurdles that the Pistons obviously are going to have to clear. And the most popular one that I'm seeing everywhere is Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, naturally. Asar Thompson at the 3, which I was like, okay. Bojan Bogdanovic and Jalen Duren. This one specifically is coming from at the lead at SM on Twitter. So I want to make sure that I shout them out. They say young, dynamic, playmaking veteran, sharp shooting, and high energy rim running. This Pistons team is going to be fun. And I'm starting to see this from other people outside of Michigan now, outside of Detroit sports. Oh, this Pistons team has some stuff, and we'll get into it as we kind of go down. Rod, this is my thing, one of the biggest challenges. I believe that 5 represents one of their better 5s. But defensively, I just have some concerns. We started last season with Cade Cunningham healthy. 12 games seeing Bojan Bogdanovic trying to play the 4. Did we forget that already?
Yes. Yeah, because you still have people who want to say that Isaiah Stewart is not a 4 or he's not starting level material when the eye test tells you different. You should that can be your starting 5 if you move one of these bigs. I think Isaiah Stewart is one of your best big options just for the versatility that he provides and just the know-how, and just defensively, he's in the right spots most of the time. He's just a really good switch defender on guard. You put him on a guard, you put him on a whatever. And there was a stat out there about what he can do switchability and his effectiveness on switches.
One of the
But,
best, one of the top big men in the league.
right, but you, why would you deny that and say he's not your prototypical four when offensively he may not be, but defensively that's exactly what you want. That's exactly what you want from your four. So why say we're going to make room for Thompson in the starting lineup when you don't need that? He has the same sort of switchability, but you want to have that switchability on a wing in your second unit. And unless you feel like, even if you felt like your Boyan was getting burnt, you could also move Cade over onto a three defensively at 6'6", 6'7", to be the guy who is absorbing some of that. So I think you maintain that positional versatility because our Osser and Cade same sort of do defensively, maybe. So you just don't need that duplication in the starting lineup. Why not just move Osser to the second unit and then have the better big versatility? Because I think you're just going to get killed on the boards if you just have Duren and no Stewart.
Yeah.
You're going to get bullied on the boards, and we saw enough of that last year too that we know how that movie ends. Let's not do that. You're going to have the scoring with Boyan there, but you're not necessarily going to get additional scoring by having Thompson in the starting lineup. So again, that just everything to me points to Thompson coming off the bench and you run Boyan at the three.
Yeah, especially for early on, while Thompson is still figuring out, as Troy Weaver calls it, the nuances of NBA offense and defense. He says he's ready right now to take the defensive pressure off of guys like Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham, but there's still a few more things to learn. I believe that Bojan Bogdanovic's offense, for as long as he's on this squad, needs to kind of be featured early and often, kind of early in the first quarters, early in the third quarters, and see what exactly you can get, because he's one of those instant on guys. And if he's on, you can find yourself up like 12-0 instantly to start a game. And I saw that a couple times with the Bojan show. Sadly, a lot of those games ended with us losing by like 20 points, but that's a whole nother story and situation, especially without the closer being present. But you bring up a lot of good points here, and some things that I was talking about as well. You mentioned the similarities between Ausar Thompson and Cade Cunningham on the defensive end, and one of the things that I'm starting to, and I want to see more of when they really start to play games, get the training camp and things of that nature, is who is Ausar Thompson as a connector. His whole kind of basketball life, he's kind of come up similarly, playing basketball in similar roles to Cade Cunningham as a now individual who is 6'5" plus. I want to see, in terms of height, I want to see who he is in that second unit when he's handling the rock. If the 3-point shot isn't necessarily there, the last thing I think the Pistons are going to do is have him stand in a corner. And when I look at the way the second unit is set up, I like Monte Morris, I really do. But I can see the ball really in point forward Thompson's hands a lot if he shows some proficiency. Similar to the role that Cade Cunningham might play with that first unit. It was just something I was kicking around. I wanted to get your thoughts on that as well, because I know we talk about Ausar Thompson defensively. Offensively, just some of the things you saw him do in Summer League, high assist numbers, to go along with the high rebound numbers. What type of role do you think best fits Ausar Thompson off the bench?
I think he can be a ball handler and a facilitator similar to Cade. I can see something like that where you can say, all right, give him the rock and just let him roll with it. Let's see what happens. He may not be as dynamic as Cade, and the finishing may not be there in all of the same ways, but I think he can grow into being an effective 3-point shooter and an effective finisher. He just needs time, and that's with all of these guys. Jaden Ivey at the end of the year versus the beginning of the year, obvious difference. Cade at the end of the year versus the beginning, obvious difference with that slump and the slow start to his rookie year. So I think all of those things kind of play into it, that Thompson showed that he has a presence with the ball. He's not going to get shook and nervous about where he is on the court and what he's supposed to do with the ball. He can play in transition really well, being the recipient of passes or just finding guys. And that was one of the frustrations that fans had, was that if people passed him the ball a little bit more, he would be able to do that. But again, know who you're out there with. If Ivy and Duren and Wiseman are out there, you're not the star of the show. You don't have to take 10 or 15 shots. Just get in where you fit in. And anybody who's played at just pickup ball knows this.
You
Sometimes when
preaching
you
right
got a
now.
guy who can distribute and get you the ball where you need to be, you don't have to try too hard. But if you feel like, hey, nobody's passing me the ball, as soon as you get your hands on the rock, you feel like I got to get a shot up because this is the only one I'm gonna see.
Yep. And you said something very key there. You don't have to try too hard when you're playing with a guy like Cade Cunningham and what we believe Asar Thompson is. But you know what always happens? You wind up trying very hard because you know you're going to get the rock. If you're going to run the court, Asar Thompson's passing that rock. That's what we saw in Summer League. You know, that Wiseman pass, that full court, one dribble, one hand pass up the court between two defenders. That to me says if I'm getting on the court, I'm running, especially for some of these young guys that come in and some of these guys who might be at the end of the roster who want a chance. If you're in there with Asar Thompson, you know I have an opportunity. Take advantage of that opportunity, man. Any of these guys coming off the bench. You have a guy here who's coming in with a lot of kind of, pomp and circumstance, but he's looking to make his teammates better. And that's just kind of what got me thinking, like, listen, you want your best players, especially the best fit starting, and I believe he would fit well, and obviously he's destined to be the starter. But to kind of get things going right now, I'm almost like, man, I kind of want to see that kind of work to start the season. Let him get his feet wet, put him in a position where he is matched up with people coming off the bench rather than starters. You know, the starting threes versus the threes off the bench that he'd be matched up with in the NBA, there's a huge difference in terms of talent. And, just in terms of the flow of the game and such, being able to kind of pick and choose, see how the game is going and know, okay, all right, I'm going to come in and do these things. Okay, I see how this referee's calling the game. Some of our other starters are coming in already knowing that. And to kind of go into that even further, you talked about Stewart in the starting lineup, because this is kind of one of the challenges or hurdles the Pistons are going to have to make a decision on. And I like Stewart starting. One of the things that we got a glimpse of last year, and we didn't get to see enough of it, was Stewart and Duren playing together. And their best defensive big man tandem was Stewart and Duren last year, out of all the tandems that they ran. I like what they were able to bring to the table. And I've talked about it before. When you have Stewart out there with Duren, it allows him to be able to roam and be best at what he's best at and just kind of be this Tasmanian devil causing havoc wherever. And we've seen plays where you see that, where he's running all over the court from the top, back to the middle, back to the top, guarding somebody through the pick and roll, then down low to get the rebound. And I like that type of energy from him. What I think that this really draws some more attention to, we don't talk about him enough on this platform we're going to, is how good is Jalen Duren going to be as a rim protector? I think when we get that type of Jalen Duren, that is going to be an absolute, menace to society at protecting the rim. And I believe he's growing into that. That's where that's where I believe we get the best Isaiah Stewart on defense. And that's where I think you want him next to Jalen Duren, because then everything in front of that rim, everything in front of it, that kind of plays more to Stewart's height and measurables and his skill set, and not necessarily having to, back to basket with somebody, backing him all the way into the rim. It's like this plays more to his skill set. And then when he does have to find himself in a situation where he's playing a center or a power forward that's more of a bruiser, well, it's far and few in between now. It's not his full game assignment, man. Like, it's crazy to see like him having to battle Jokic all game. Like, that stuff to me is wild, man. Or Embiid. That stuff, Stewart battling Embiid all game because we don't have anyone injured or proficient enough to do it. We don't have anyone healthy or proficient enough to do it. That to me is wild. Now that you have him being able to kind of roam, float, play, with a lot of these forwards who play out on the perimeter, they're not ready for what Stu's going to bring, toughness-wise. Those forwards in this NBA are not ready for that. So to me, I kind of want to see this team go out there with his best fighting chance defensively. And I believe that starts, at least with this juncture, by having Cade, Duren, and Stewart in your starting lineup. No matter what else you have in your starting lineup, I believe those three have to be there. And I know that there's some people out there. There's some people. There's a small fringe people out there who still believe that Isaiah Livers should start in place of Stu or in place of Bojan as well. To just
don't
give
read
us
those
the
comments.
best
Just let those comments go.
We let those go, man. We let those go. And a couple more people in the NBA around the kind of NBA world. Alex Golden, NBA. He said the Detroit Pistons had an excellent draft selecting Asar Thompson and Marcus Sasser. I feel like people haven't praised the Pistons enough for their drafting the last 3 years. Cade, Ivy, Duren, Asar, and Sasser. Smart selections by the front office. These are winning players, to back up what you were saying earlier. And at official NBA Buzz, they said Detroit Pistons have a crazy impressive young core. I don't know where the hype is starting to come from, man, but it's starting to be drummed up all over. You just kind of search Pistons, and people are starting to talk about this. Jalen Duren, 19 years old. Asar Thompson, 20. Cade Cunningham, 21. Jaden Ivey, Killian Hayes, Isaiah Stewart, Marcus Sasser, all 22. Marvin Bagley, 24. Isaiah Livers, 25. Oh, man, Isaiah. Could Detroit prove people wrong next season? And I wasn't going to ask that question. We'll get there. But what it has me kind of thinking about when we talk about these challenges and hurdles, is their youth going to be too much of an issue for this team to meet expectations next year?
It's going to be a big hurdle. The youth is. Because even I was going to say when we were talking about starting lineup that if Stu is one of your veterans, I mean, besides Boyan and what we're suggesting, and he's only 3+ years in, then that's saying something too. That you have a lot of guys who have to kind of figure it out together. But at the same time, the youth is kind of you can't tell us nothing. We're not going to go sit in the corner. We're going to come out here and ball, and we're not afraid of anything. So I think that's mitigated by that youth is mitigated by that kind of these are number 1 or top 5 picks. So they're not afraid of anything either. So I think that there's the balance is yes, they're youthful, but then they're just also very talented. It's not like you got a bunch of number 17 picks on this roster that you're trying to figure out where they're going to be and where they're going to start. These
a bunch of Seikus.
Yeah. It's not that at all. It's I think no, okay, I'm not going to say that. I was going to say something wild, but I'm not going to say that.
But I almost want to push you to say it now.
No. It's but when you think about Houston, it's the same sort of thing. But Houston pushed their chips in the middle of the table and said, we're going to get Fred and we're just going to make this work. And the Pistons are not quite there yet. It's a different approach. But, I mean, it'll be interesting to see. I'm very interested to see how Houston's situation works out with Fred. And we talked about it, too, is what's Fred's mentality? How's that going to look in January when he's surrounded by these young guys that he has the responsibility of pulling together? Is he going to be okay with that? And so I think that's the next thing I want to check in on. But in terms of what's the prototype, what's the template for rebuilding, Houston pressed the emergency button, let's go. They pressed that button a lot earlier than the Pistons did.
Yeah. The Houston thing, it's interesting to me because with the investments they're making, it's almost as if they get off to a weird start, they can't bail on Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet. It seems like they're going to start doing kind of what Cleveland did and utilize some of those young players to accelerate that rebuild potentially in trades. Like when I look at their situation, it's like, yeah, they're going to be something of a spectacle to start the season. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that they're a show that I believe is worth watching. If that makes any sense.
Exactly. And I think exactly that's a different way of phrasing it. What I said is that it could be a comedy, but it could also be a all right. That's a way, and that would put some pressure on the Pistons to say, see, all you had to do was go out and get player X. But if you're adding Fred VanVleet, it's a lot different than adding Cam Johnson. They're not comparable in pretty much any way at all. Fred VanVleet is a leader who's going to be the gel that pulls this thing together. And as we talked about Cam Johnson, we've only talked about him as a player on the court. There was no conversation about him being a transcendent leader or a glue guy or anything else. And that's the other reason that you don't pay him $30 million is because that's not who he is in NBA circles. That's not
We were talking about more of what we hope he could become.
as a player, but not as a leader.
Yeah.
So people, well, why didn't you go get? They didn't do anything. You just didn't waste what you had. Is all it is.
Ooh,
You still have
bars.
that money. You still have Joe Harris, who can be a leader because he's a vet. Is Cam Johnson a veteran? Would you say? No, because he's in the same class with
Nah.
all of these other guys that you
Yeah,
got.
he's like Diallo. He would be that guy that they say, hey, you need to start learning how to be. And he'd be at the table like Diallo saying, they telling me I thought I was a young guy, but I guess I'm a vet now. That's kind of where I see him. And he's a player who we're still figuring out who is he going to be. I'm sure he's still figuring out who am I going to be, to certain degrees. They all put in the work. But in terms of what's been kind of produced on the court, we see some flashes. We see some things we like going back to college. But you're right. Is it transformative? If it's not, then it's not worth the 30 M.
Is he Desmond Bain? Is he that type of proven player that can affect your culture? Those are the questions that you ask when you start talking about 30 mil. Not here's a plug and play guy that we can fit in and he'll help us offensively and he could help defensively and be no. That's not what you're paying 30 mil for. For the people who are trying to be GMs out here, that's not. Yes, he's going to make you better. Is he going to make you 40 wins better? No, then he's not worth 30 mil.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said it. You got to do the level. Yes, he would have made us a better team. He definitely would have. Having him as a talent is never a bad thing. None of us would have been like, oh, man, we have Cam Johnson. We would have probably been like, man, that contract. It makes me think of Andre Drummond all over again. I feel like with Cam Johnson, not that he wouldn't have contributed, but we would have been sitting here looking at that money for a long time like, he has to become a superstar soon, right? So man, you come up with some very cool nuances to these things that I hope help people understand and digest what the Pistons are doing a little bit better.
Who has Troy Weaver given a bag to? A long-term bag to? Nobody. Jeremy Grant is the closest thing to that, and that was what was it, 3 and 60?
Yep. And he was able to trade that contract.
And people blew their minds about how much of an overpay they thought that was.
And then they want to give Cam 30. This is crazy.
And they want to throw more money at Cam. And even if you wanted to say Grant was a mistake, you still parlay that into who?
Duren and Burks. That's a pretty handsome mistake, man.
so anybody who wants to say that Troy hasn't done anything, the evidence just keeps building of, even if you said it was a mistake, he turned the mistake into something better than what he was hoping to get. And Jeremy turned out to be was that contract worth it? Well, yeah, because look what Portland ended up having to pay. This is why, and people on Twitter or people who email me about I'm a pro Pistons person and blah blah. Look, man, I tell you what I see. That is my job. And will I criticize stuff that I don't like? Yeah, I'll criticize it. But the Troy stuff is, for the most part, has come out roses. And do we talk about Killian all the time being something that has not panned out? All the time. All the time. You've never heard me say that Killian was a world beater and he was the best player in the draft. I said going into the draft that I thought Halliburton was the pick. I've told people in the front office and in the ownership, I thought Halliburton was the better player going into the draft.
Speak on it, bro. Sheesh.
And that's just what it is. It's just, go ahead.
I was going to say, just speak on it because it's important that a lot of times we're not apt to go back and clip and make sure people understand our full resume. Follow our timeline of what we felt. Just because there's this aspect as well of making sure to report everything that the team is stating and the things and the details that fans and observers want to see. So that comes objectively. I can't, you can't present that biasly or unbiasedly. If they're literally stating we're doing this move for this purpose and the job is to cover the team on a daily basis, that's a little bit different than criticism. Yeah, you bring your criticism of like marked moves and things of that nature, but it's like for me personally, the nature of the beast is one in which you go out there, you put these things out there, and I'm glad you are able to remember some of these things, and hope that your regulars are the ones that continue to know, you know what, these people are putting in the real work. They do put their takes out there. They have been here, they have been there, and more specifically with Troy Weaver. I feel like Troy Weaver is a little bit different than some of these other attempts because he's doing things so differently that for us, you just kind of have to, for a little bit, wait and see. You kind of sit back like, well, I know the wins aren't there. And he's saying this, the wins aren't there, but guys got to wait and see. When it's so close, so 3-4 years in, you almost have to wait and see, especially when this is the reason why I wanted to read out to people what other big accounts, what other people who are covering NBA are saying about our squad, because they're all saying the same things. Oh man, we got to wait and see. It's not that people are trying to take up or make up for. If we think something's bad, we're like, it's kind of questionable, man. We don't know how to make up if this team is going to be. We're sitting here right now. We went in and asked them last year, man, what, this Bojan at the 4 thing isn't working. You know what I mean? We talked about it on this show. We talked about, hey, y'all aren't doing no pick and rolls. What's going on? So I'm glad that you brought that aspect of it up, just so people understand. Regardless of what they think they hear, the reporting is top notch. I appreciate 100%, man, what you brought to just the world of reporting in general over your career, and grateful to do this with you, man. Just as a side note.
No,
But
all good.
look, I got this last thing I wanted to talk about, this last challenge or hurdle, at least for today's show, man. And I didn't know if this was an end capper or whatnot, but at NBA_university, shout out to our friends over there again. They have the healthiest NBA teams in 2022-23 season by total games missed. Your top teams who were the most healthy, Sacramento, they only missed 54 games. I don't know what's going on in Sacramento, but wow, man, like they talk about a renaissance over there. Like what's in the cow milk over there? I have no idea, but they're they're booming. But we got Atlanta, 102 games, New York, Philly, Houston, Brooklyn. They had like 149 games. Most injured teams by total games missed. Do you want to take any guesses at this these top teams here?
Pistons
number 1, 294 missed games, man. Miami Heat came in at number 2, 292. Portland 273, Orlando 270, Charlotte 268, OKC 243. And you know what's interesting here? All these teams that are up here all had some pretty promising seasons except for the Pistons, and that's primarily because their games missed were their literal core, their literal starters, man. Starters.
See, and that thing should be broken down by starters versus reserves, because that would give you a bigger glimpse into what you. And some of it is just hey, we're gonna give we're going to give other people starts toward the end of the season because it really doesn't matter. And that's why the 17 wins doesn't mean anything. The number 17 doesn't mean anything to me. If you've been doing this long enough, 17 wins, 25 wins, whatever, it doesn't matter. If it's not 30 or 35, it really doesn't matter. Well, this is the second worst record that they've ever. Nobody cares. You think Troy Weaver is looking at that and saying, there's a difference between 17 and 19 wins or 21 and nobody cares. In 2 or 3, okay, let me ask you this, and you follow this team.
Yeah.
In 2019, how many games did they win? Off the top. You don't know, because it doesn't even matter after a certain point because you're in it. Or 2017, how many games did they win? I covered the team in 2017, and I don't remember because it doesn't matter. It's an ongoing saga. And if you're caught on this 17 wins in 2 more years, then that's on you. That's something that you care about. I don't care. It
But
literally is. Is this team on a progression to go somewhere? Did they make the playoffs? That's the only thing that matters. They made the playoffs 2 times in my covering the team. That's all I care about.
man, it's gonna be a sad existence in 2 years if there are people still sitting here, man, talking about some. Man, yo, they only won like 17 games 2 years ago. Like goodness gracious, and you know what? I feel like there's gonna be some of those fans, even if they're good, even if or when they take these steps forward. I feel like there's gonna be still that contingent of fans is like, yeah, but he just got lucky. Well, yeah, Cade Cunningham fell into his lap. Yeah, the 17 wins his season and blah blah blah. These players saved them. I'm so like, well, aren't the players? And this is my prepared quip. Aren't the players supposed to save the GM? Isn't that the job?
You
That's the
pick the
job.
players to play the games and win the games. Okay.
Yeah.
We spend so much time talking about the not so logic filled people. I'm trying to work around this because I don't want to say idiot. We talk about the people who have the most insane takes about stuff and not the intelligent people. And there are intelligent people who are out there who follow the team and get it. But those are the things that kind of drive you batty and make you put your phone down when it's like, for real? Okay, yeah, no. I'm tapping out.
It's not even like, all right, this is something random. It's like, oh, sweet. What is this with 10,000 likes on it? What? It's just like, all right, I'm checked out.
At that point, you're doing it for the attention, and it's like, yeah, I'm not even feeding into that madness. It's just,
yeah. There was one I'm actually saving for another show, man. I was like, this is wild. Like, you guys know what you're doing. It was I didn't even include it in this. I was like, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today. This is just one to get mad at. It was from Draft Dummies, and they did a redraft and tiering of Jaden Ivey and Jalen Duren's class.
I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know.
Let me just say, man, everybody in the comments was like, well, you guys are 2 tier A. We're gonna talk about that one a lot.
No, and that can be another segment. We should create a segment that's just insane takes, just stuff that people write or stuff that people tweet or just put out there, just like insane stuff that doesn't even make sense.
That's it.
And it would be an endless supply of them. It's just, yeah, okay, no.
Man, you got me taking notes. Because you guys know
that's how we get better is when you take notes. That's how we get better, bro.
And there we go. Got it in. I think people are gonna really like what we got coming to the platforms, man. They will. And honestly, with this upgrade, this boost, it's gonna basically leave room for greater and more incubation within the Woodward Pistons ecosystem. So the channel is not going to be barren. It's going to continue to grow, continue to have a little bit more personal touch and flair as well. And we're going to talk a few more sports too. So you're going to see some Lions talk on here, Tigers, Red Wings, but primarily the Detroit Pistons. And you can catch us, like I said, in a couple of weeks. We're looking at making this transition from the Woodward Pistons YouTube over to the Woodward Sports YouTube. And then everything will be rerun or replayed or re-aired back on Woodward Pistons as well. So you won't miss a thing. But if you want to kind of be live and in action, especially with this Monday show we're talking about, that's the one where, look, because Rod, a lot of people, they want to interact with us. I told them there's something on the way. They want to ask questions on the spot. They want to interact. They want to try and, jump on our takes right away. And I told them, hey, look, man, if that's what you guys want, this Monday Live that we're talking about bringing to the network, you guys got to be tuned in for it. It's going to be dope. Got some special guests. I'm not going to put it all out there yet. Still working on some things. But I believe, Rod, it's going to be one of the best basketball shows Michigan has seen.
Okay, let's do it. Let's get it.
Anything else for today, man?
No, man. I'm I'm not quite ready for the world just yet. I need a coffee and some good breakfast. And this is Central Time Zone, so this is what 9 o'clock for me.
Oh, that's right. That is right. That's
So
right.
I'm not really awake yet.
Oh man,
I'm just
Rod has on
I'm
the
just trying
AI
to.
right now. He has on the AI filter that makes him look awake. He's actually like laying in bed right now.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Oh yeah,
man.
yeah. Oh my God, we gotta figure out some ways to integrate AI into this too. Of what would a crazy Pistons fan say about Cade Cunningham? Just and see what it says, see what it tells us, and it might just be some of the stuff that we've seen already. Cade ain't got no lift.
We gonna do this. Ask
Hey man,
AI.
hey,
Man, yeah, I like this one. This one's cool. I'm grateful for you as always, man. I'm gonna get you drum rolled out of here and close up. But first, I need you guys to like and subscribe. As always, make sure you guys are taking a peruse of the Detroit news and Woodward Sports. I need you guys to definitely make sure you're supporting. There's a lot of good content there, a lot of good people there. Shout out to my boy Mike Curtis as well, Pistons beat writer for the Detroit news. And hopefully get to see him this Friday, man. You see this Pistons race car thing before we close up?
no, you will not see Mike on Friday. Mike is somewhere in Alabama as well.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
we got to
That's
break
right.
some bread for some dinner last night. You will not see Mike
That's
on
what's up.
Friday.
That's what's up. Hey, you know what? You guys enjoy that, man. That 95-degree heat. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Hey, as always, Rod, I love these things. Looks like you're in a light factory, man.
Is it really 95 degrees? Bro, I might just be down in the hotel lobby getting some breakfast. It might not be venturing outside today.
That was me some days in Vegas, man. I get it. Let me
From the
let me get
from the surface of the sun. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
oh man, I love the travels, man. I hope people are entertained. But let me get this thing going, man. Look, for Jeff Iron Frady in the Morning Woodward Show, man. Definitely continue to support them. My name is Brandon Dent, aka Detroit Kool-Aid, and this is the Woodward Pistons podcast on the Woodward Sports Network. You guys already know what time it is to close this show out. Let's get that drum roll going for the legend. Hey yo! Shout out to the legend, Detroit News, Rob Beard. Brother, I hope you have a great day.
All right, you do the same. We'll check back next
Thank
week.
you, man. All right, blessings you all. Till next time.